so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads. Welcome to a very special episode dedicated to none other than you, the PeaHeads themselves. I am your PeaHead enthusiast and hostess for the day, Alexa Hauser. I have been blessed to have the experience of helping out with Positive Head social media for the better part of a year. And through my digital interactions, I began to realize, as did Brandon, that we have some incredible beings listening to this show who are taking the information that Brandon puts out through the podcast and using it to transform their lives and create wonderful things. You listeners are all a huge, huge part of the life force that propels this show forward through time and space, and we think it's time to bring forth some of you beautiful reflections and delve a little deeper into this collection of energy that is the Positive Head community. So as we shine the spotlight on our listeners, what we'll have them do is share their stories of how they attracted Positive Head into their life, the transformation it's facilitated for them, and what they're focused on creating now that they're in a more positive headspace. Also, this episode of the Positive Head podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Hello, all you positive heads. On this week's PeaHead Posse episode, our guest is Alicia Lynn Diaz. Alicia is a transformational healer and the creator of the Enlightened Body System and the Soul of Healing Summit. She specializes in helping healers effectively release trapped emotions and revitalize their health through the bridging of Ayurvedic wisdom, modern science, and emotional healing. Hi, Alicia. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's an honor. It's a pleasure. And just reading through your intro, I'm really excited to talk to you because I'm super into like Ayurveda these days. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of cool things for us to talk about. So thanks for taking the time to be on here with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And why don't we, with all of our guests, we really like to start at the beginning, of course, because that's where everyone's story starts and the beginning of the journey. So why don't you share with us, just what your life has been like up until now, what your past has been like, and how it really led you to having this talk with us.
Well, let me see if I can nutshell version because it's been quite
it's a wide net. Yeah.
Yeah. But the first thing that came up for me as you were asking me the question was way back when I was in New York. I told you I grew up on the East Coast. So I was a clinical exercise physiologist and I was running a wellness clinic in New York and really, really loved what I did. I had started studying yoga and meditation at the time and I started weaving that into my clinic and I super, super loved it. But I started experiencing really debilitating chronic health kind of symptoms, significant headaches, reproductive pain, and digestive disorders, and extreme fatigue. And I was essentially, long story short, kind of given this life sentence of taking pills, pharmaceuticals, and, there's nothing we can do for you kind of thing, which was really super frustrating at the time because I was a wellness professional and I thought I should be able to find the answers. And the answers eluded me. So essentially that was a big turning point for me to dive more deeply into Ayurveda, which I had been introduced to in yoga school, and had this incredible opportunity. I basically left my whole life behind in New York and started heading out west. I ended up in San Diego, but I ended up traveling to India and spending a couple years in New Mexico studying with two really world-renowned teachers one was the Ayurvedic physician called a Vaidya in Ayurveda, the Vaidya for the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa. And he's just like a walking saint. He introduced me to my next mentor who had a formal school. So I got to study Ayurveda under him for a couple of years, which was 2 full years, full time, which was such a blessing, and started my Ayurveda practice from there. And then over the years, this developed into me realizing that it wasn't just the physical remedies and healing that I was after through Ayurveda. It was the deeper emotional and spiritual side, which I then started weaving in my own personal health practice, kind of combining emotional and trauma healing work and psychosomatic kind of therapies into my own personal practice. And that helped me be able to support my clients even more deeply. And then I essentially created the Enlightened Body System, which is the coursework and program that I take my students through now that merges all of those things. And I didn't realize at the time what an immense impact my own repressed traumas and pains and emotional, repressed emotions, how that was impacting my physiology. So really my passion and my work has been a merging of all of these modalities, so to speak, but guided by soul, guided by spiritual principles of, the awakening process of human consciousness. So a little bit of how I got to come here with you, to be in this conversation with you today.
Awesome. I love that. And I resonate with a lot of that because I'm an EFT practitioner. So I'm very much, in tune with the emotions and how they affect the body. But I would love to, hear from you more about that, for people who are listening, and maybe some people who are just kind of learning about this and are like, what, like not really understanding that connection. Can you go into that a little more?
Yeah, absolutely. I love EFT, by the way. So it's cool. We have shared language for sure.
Totally.
But basically, the emotional body, so Ayurveda and yoga, these sister sciences of India, these ancient healing traditions, Ayurveda is actually one of the original, it is the original medical system on the planet. And all of the branches of specialties have emerged from it, including surgery, including OBGYN. There's roots in ancient Ayurveda and in the ancient texts, which is just kind of mind-blowing that these were the conversations that human beings were having 5,000 years ago with this wisdom, right? So these ancient sister sciences, yoga and Ayurveda, look at the body not just through the eyes of the physical body, but your body has 5 different bodies associated with it. So there's the in yoga science, some of you who may have been yoga practitioners or done teacher trainings, you may have heard of the Maya koshas. The 5 pancha is 5 Maya koshas, which are the 5 bodies or bodily sheaths that are all interrelated inside of your being. And there's the Annamaya kosha, which is your food body. Anna means food. It's like the physical fabric of your material flesh. It's the body that is created from the food that you eat. Then there's all of the 4 other Maya koshas, which are essentially your pranamaya kosha, your energy body, which is where EFT really comes in, helping opening those channels. Acupuncture works on these channels and meridians. Then you have the manomaya kosha, which mana is the mind. So the thought body, the body that is made up of your thoughts. And each of these koshas, as we go, they get more and more subtle, more and more refined in their energy. So after the thought body comes the wisdom body, or the Vijnana Maya kosha, which is a harder one to pronounce because it's a letter we don't have in English. Vijnana Maya kosha refers to the wisdom body, or the intellect, or your ability to have judgment and discernment. So it is more refined than your mind body, because the mind body is also connected to fears and the subconscious mind, which we can talk about in a moment. And the 5th sheath is the Ananda Maya kosha, which is the bliss body. And this is the closest energy to your soul, to your true self. And it is the part of you that is in oneness with all of creation. So these 5 bodies need to be all nourished and fed and working in harmony with one another in order for you to experience health and vitality, in order for you to overcome sickness, illness, pain. And often it's one of these 5 that have been depleted or have, never been accessed by you that could be causing a ripple effect into the physical. And so one of those, as I just mentioned, the manomaya kosha, or the fear-based mind, or the ego, as it's often called in Eastern medicine. This is the body, that aspect of us that is completely interwoven with all the other bodies, including the physical body. They all fill the same space of your being, so they cannot be separated from one another. But this is the body that is made up of your thoughts, and it is made up of 95%. So 5% of it is made up by your conscious thoughts, but 95% of it is made up by your subconscious thoughts or unconscious thoughts, the things that you don't even realize you're believing or thinking or expecting about life, the world around you. And those have been programmed into your being, into your physiology in the first 7 years of your life and on, but primarily in those first 7 years of your life. So all of the things that you observed and you picked up on, subtle energies or obvious overt things, the way that your parents talked to you and interrelated with you or talked to each other, just everything that was happening around you was bit by bit programming this manomaya kosha to understand how you relate to the world around you, and has then affects the physical body and the health. And the way that translates to physiology is just through neurophysiology, neurochemistry. Like, think about it. The one really easy way to access what I'm saying kind of on a theoretical standpoint, let's bring this into the practical, right? You have a thought or a feeling, or you get a phone call from someone that gives you bad news. What do you feel right away? You feel this, like this ickiness in your gut. You sometimes lose your appetite, right? Like, what is that reaction? It is based on a thought and a meaning that your mind makes of the information, the data that came in, and then it instantly sets off a neurochemical cascade in your whole body so that you feel a certain way. And that has a direct impact on physiology, on your digestion turning on or turning off, on your sexual organs turning on or turning off. Everything in your gut, in your whole being is governed by what you think consciously and unconsciously.
Love it. That was a beautiful explanation. Much more in-depth and almost poetic than when I do it in my EFT circles or sessions, but so beautiful. I really got like the full picture there. And, something that was coming up for me was, okay, so we have these like 5 different bodies, you said, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So in each one of these bodies, something could be out of place, right? Or something could be missing or out of balance. That's what you're saying, right? Mm-hmm. And then that translates to our overall health.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. So your overall health is expressed mostly through your annamaya kosha. That's what you feel most physically. That's the food body. So you'll experience it that way, but it could be because that's an outer manifestation of all 5 of the bodies. So anytime you're feeling ill or you have pain or whatever the case may be, it could be just the level of the annamaya kosha from, you were exposed to some chemical and it gave you a headache, right? There could be something that's more physical that you need to look at. But if all of the physical things have eluded you, and especially when the doctors are like, oh, I don't know, you seem fine, everything's coming back negative, what could be going on deeper? There could be this more subtle aspects that something is off on one of these more subtle bodies that they're not able to pick up with their diagnostic instruments yet. And this is where your own path of inner wisdom comes into play, because you have to be able to discern and spend enough time within yourself to observe these things and understand the 5 bodies, as well as, other indicators of health and vitality. But yeah.
Well, that, I guess you were you kind of answered my next question, which is how do you go about, if you have these like 5 different bodies that something could be going on in at all times, essentially, how do you, when you have an issue, like what are the steps that you can use, to kind of start narrowing down what area it's coming from? Is there any way to guide yourself?
Absolutely. So from the level of Annamaya Kosha, the physical body, there's subtleties within that. There's a full spectrum within that as well. And so there would be a set of inquiries that I would invite you into around just the physical body. One of those inquiries would be specifically just, how hungry are you? Are you eating when you're hungry? Are you eating when you're not hungry? Are you eating when you're just bored or emotionally hungry for something else? And are you, so there's like a hunger piece. Are you stopping eating when you're full, or are you overeating or even undereating? Are you neglecting the body, or are you overstuffing the body, trying to fill something? So there's a whole aspect around hunger, because the Agni, which is your digestive fire, is also across all 5 of these bodies. So your Agni digests, absorbs, assimilates nutrients that you put into your mouth in the form of food, but it also digests, and you are also fed by everything that comes into your 5 senses, everything you see, everything you taste, everything you touch, on your skin, everything you hear, everything you smell. These are all aspects of feeding your body. And you're also digesting everything that's coming in through these 5 senses. So if, there's things blinking and texts and sounds and chaos, then your body is also needing to digest and process those. And some of the bandwidth is taken away from your food and your energy processes. And your Agni digests your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and any undigested experiences from the past. And you sometimes will notice those come up in dream time. So I would also ask you that next question. So we kind of look at what's your appetite and your digestion, what's going on in your sleep, what's going on in your sleep and in your dreams. Because the dreams sometimes are encoded messages of your subconscious, the things that you don't have conscious awareness of when you're awake. And then you're like, oh, I don't know why I'm being snappy towards my partner, or I'm feeling agitated when I try to sit down and concentrate. Well, is there something that's kind of coming to the surface in the subconscious that you haven't addressed? A feeling that you haven't released or felt? Anytime we're in resistance and avoidance, that thing keeps coming up. So, and sometimes so sleep could be one thing to disturb. And then the second part of that question is, is there anything, if you're really, truly honest with yourself, is there anything that you're avoiding looking at? Is there anything that you feel ashamed of feeling? Right? Because usually we feel like we should be able to be clear and confident and on purpose and have direction. And then we get ashamed that our mind has self-doubt, and we know these things aren't aligned with our highest state of being. So we, can sometimes cover our own negativity, which is in essence, a big part of the nature of the mind. And then we feel guilty and we feel shame, which buries those feelings. So just in having self-compassion and having self-honesty, can I look at, oh, this is how I'm feeling? Can I give myself permission to be with whatever is there under the surface, to let it out, and then you can actually, move on. So we're still under the assessment of I kind of went into the Manomaya Kosha on that question, but kind of back one last question just in the physical body. And this one's super important. Are you eliminating fully every single day? Is your body optimized to be releasing toxicity out of your channels of elimination properly and enough every single day? So often our mind is actually, in Ayurveda, the mind is connected to the colon. There's a very strong connection with the spiraling negative thoughts and how clogged someone's colon is, or how effectively their colon is working, whether it's on the side of excessively soft stools to the side of very dry, hard, incomplete bowel movements. Yeah. So if the bowels are having weird habits where you're not having a full, beautiful, blissful banana every single morning, the first thing you wake up before you put anything else in your mouth, then there's something in your nervous system and then the mind body that isn't optimized, that can be worked on, and on the physical level. So, and that has to do with your lymphatic system, and as well as your digestive fire, as well as the rhythms of your day-to-day life, the foods you eat. I run a program called the Enlightened Belly 21-Day Gut Reset. We go really, really deep into all of those different arenas, but these are some of the main questions I would have someone ask themselves: is their hunger, all of those pieces, their sleep, their elimination. And those are going to start to give you an insight into, okay, there's some physical things that I can do to improve. Mm-hmm. As we get in the deeper levels, the pranamaya kosha all has to do with your breath. So this is the subtle energy body, the prana body, the life force body. How are you breathing? Are you breathing through your nose? Are you breathing through your mouth? Are you breathing into your chest or into your belly? When you take a big inhale right now, as all of you are listening to this, take a big inhale. And what part of your torso do you feel move? Do you feel your chest move? Or do you feel your belly move? Do you feel both move? Sometimes
feel my chest move.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So the chest moving is actually a reverse breather.
Oh no.
But do you feel your belly move also?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not a full reverse breather. So a reverse breather, in society we've been taught, take a deep breath in and suck your belly in, because that looks better, right?
Yeah.
What the media portrays. So a lot of people have become reverse breathers, which makes your nervous system frazzled and makes your mind more easily get filled with fear. It's so crazy. So all you need to do is breathe into the lower belly, like put your hands on your belly. And as you inhale, push your belly out and then let the chest relax. And then as you exhale, you can kind of pull your navel in, almost like you would be doing an abdominal crunch. And then as you inhale, the belly relaxes. And then you start to train yourself how to breathe properly, because the lower third of your lungs is actually where all of the oxygen gets absorbed into your blood, and that gives you energy. And
man, that might be why. So would it make you tired, like every once in a while? Because like I have like good energy, and then all of a sudden I get like, especially in the afternoon, suddenly I'll get very, and I'm like, I eat well, I exercise well, I sleep well. So, but I do think my breathing definitely.
Yeah. So just consciously breathing, even when you sit down to work on something, you can take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, just to kind of establish the channel. And this helps nourish and feed the prana body. And it helps your whole nervous system relax. And then as you go into your activity with that breath and with intentionality, and you can also, this is actually in the same exercise, we can weave in the Vijnanamaya kosha, which is the wisdom body. You can just set a simple intention like peace. I'm going to prioritize my peace for the next 30 minutes while I work on this one thing. And then as you're reading or writing, and you don't have to do it as exaggerated as I'm doing it, but you're just consciously breathing in and out deeply. And for those of you who practice yoga, you can even engage a little bit of that ocean breath or ujjayi breath. You hear it on the back of your throat as you kind of close in your throat a little bit, like you're huffing on a mirror to make fog, but you keep your lips closed. And it's just this soothing sound in the back of your awareness, no matter what you're working on or doing, that allows you to stay connected to your life force, that allows you to stay connected to your center, that allows you to stay connected to that part of you that always knows, the part of you that's always at peace. The Anandamaya kosha is always at peace, that part of you that always is connected to your core. And then you can catch yourself when you get off out of that and you feel so absorbed into the stress, or even just overly excited and engaged in the thing that even if it's something you're passionate about, you can sometimes lose yourself in that. And then you can just come back to that. And then you can access from that place your creative inspiration, it collapses time in a way, anything that you're needing to access, and you can get things done more efficiently and quickly. So let's see, we did the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, the mind one. I mentioned dream time. Another great one for this, which I love Positive Head podcast for this, is filling your mind with positive concepts, ideas. You listening to these talks is a way of doing that. And then also translating that as often as possible into your self-talk, saying, treating yourself kindly and speaking to yourself with love and compassion and understanding, and then that also bridges into the subconscious mind that we spoke about, which would move into essentially shadow work and getting in touch with those fragmented, repressed aspects of your psyche, the parts of you that don't feel heard, the parts of you that are stuck in their core wounds, which we all have as human beings. We all have some kind of core wound, whether it's the core wound of abandonment, or the core wound of engulfment, or core wounds of, just whatever expression of fear. Those fragmented aspects of our psyche have learned that at some point in life have had traumas, have had things that we were emotionally unable to process while they were happening. And those make an imprint on the emotional body, on the manomaya kosha, that aspect of your mind. And sometimes the patterns that come up physically in our health are unknowingly influenced by those patterns. And that's the aspect that if you ever find yourself being like, oh, I'm just self-sabotaging, or I try to work out X number of days a week, or I try to eat healthy, and then you kind of get to a point where you revert back to old behaviors, and then you get frustrated with yourself, kind of that cycle of what we often call self-sabotage. And then we just berate ourselves for not being strong enough to overcome it. But it's actually a neurochemical set point that is governed by this deeper subconscious mind mechanism. And we all have a threshold of good, a threshold of joy. And then sometimes we're like, oh, we don't know much more joy than that. We could really, the alarms start going off in your neurochemistry. And then you find your body just starts making the chemicals to make you feel negative again, or feel terrible again. And then your mind starts interpreting and making meaning of that feeling, and then going, oh, well, I must be feeling this way because of this or that, or this or that. And then it just becomes a whole jumble. So really, to clear the haze, the fog of all of that, is to come into reclaiming these fragmented aspects of our psyche, bringing them back into wholeness. And everything in your physiology then follows the lead of you. So you're the leader of your cells. One of the things we say in the Enlightened Body System, you are the leader of your cells. The practitioners that you go to, they're your signposts. They're going to help you steer the ship, but ultimately you're the one with your hands on the steering wheel of your life, your body, your health. And your cells are going to follow the example of your subconscious. And ideally, as you do the inner work to reclaim these wounded or fragmented aspects of the psyche, more wholeness comes about, and you're connected more to that vibrant source of life and your soul or your spirit, consciousness as a whole, consciousness of all of life starts guiding and directing your cells, because your cells are, each of them are a center of consciousness as well. And they only go into dis-ease or illness when they forget that. And they forget that they can forget that from any of these layers. Any of these bodies can be influencing it. So here's some of the questions and the inquiries that, you can be in to find which layer you need to dive in deeper to.
Wow. That was so fascinating to me on so many levels. Like, I want to go back and listen to this again already because there was just so much to digest there, right? That part actually, especially to me in the beginning, talking about digestion, how we're always digesting things, even just like through touch, like through a sense, like what we're touching, like we're digesting that. Is that what you were saying? We're digesting that touch, like that sensation. And just recently I got this download for myself. It was like, you need to invest in, because I've always been, I think a lot of us that are listening right now are currently like working through, finances and worthiness and allowing more of that in, and also like investing in ourselves, investing in self-care and investing in just things that we really like. Whereas I've always been this person who has been like, well, I'm not going to spend $100 on something. I'll spend $100 on 5 things because that makes sense, like 5 cheaper things, even though I really want the $100 thing, right? And so recently, like, I got this download. It's like, you need to invest in, like, it was something so simple, but like a really nice pair of jeans. I've never done that in my life, but it was like, just do it. Like, just do that one thing and see how that feels. And so I did it. I've never bought anything over $100 in my entire life, like one piece of clothing. And I went and I bought this pair of jeans that was like $200. Okay. I'm wearing them right now. And I love them. So the second I put them on, something changed in my body. It literally like changed everything. I felt like a different human. And I was just thinking of that when you were talking about digestion of all the senses, because that's how it felt. It felt like my cells were like, okay, like now we're on another level. Like now something different's happening. Like, okay, we just leveled up. And this week I've felt different, just so different, just the whole week that I've been wearing these jeans. So it just shows you, it's like, I think a lot of us in that example, a lot of us think like, oh, for example, like clothing, like so materialistic or whatever. But truly, it's like you're feeding your body what you're surrounding it with, right? Including your clothes. So it really matters, how you feel in what you're surrounded with. So I really like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and what came up for me as you were sharing that was like this constant cellular reminder of I'm worth it.
Yes.
Like it has nothing to do with, anything can be seen in multiple perspectives, and this is actually a conversation that I'm in, an inquiry that I've been into, just around is there really anything not spiritual?
Yeah.
Like the entire material world is made up of light, and spirit is light.
Right.
And so like,
yes,
there's really nothing that light touches that's not, light can't touch it if it's not of the light.
Right.
And so you investing in a beautiful piece of clothing that is, makes you feel amazing, that the sensation on your skin, the quality and the intentionality that was put into it, right? The whole experience that you had around it is one that is reinforcing that belief. So I totally am with you that would make you feel like amazing.
Yeah. And you just solidified it too, like just with, it's like, well, I agree with you. Number one, just us being here, just us being in bodies we're creating everything around us. So like you're saying, every single thing is spiritual. And I like how you said it, everything is made up of light. Everything is spiritual. And feeling good is spiritual. It's like we think we have to pay some sort of price or something to be good people, or to, like that. And I'm just learning this lesson, so intensely in my own life right now. It's like to invest in myself and self-care. And I think, and I just love everything you just shared, because it gives you all of these different ways to look at what's going on and to look at how you invest in yourself and how you're giving yourself care. And Yeah, that was awesome. And actually, I have one more question about the body. I'm curious about something in particular. So,
Please.
How about skin? How is skin affected by? I personally have always had like dry skin, and I've always been curious, like holistically or from an Ayurvedic standpoint, what affects the skin, and what does the skin represent? Is that something you can go into?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Wow, we could talk about it on all the levels.
Cool.
So skin is an interesting organ because it is both what we show to the world, what we express to the world, right, on a metaphorical level. And on a physiological level, it's connected to the systems of the liver and the blood from an Ayurvedic standpoint, as well as the nervous system, because you have millions and millions of nerve endings that are all end on your skin, that are all exposed to the world around you. And so on one hand, physically, a cool, healthy, high-functioning liver and blood system. And when I say cool, a lot of people have, when there's excess fire element in the blood, excess heat, inflammation, these types of things, then it will show on the skin. It will show through allergic reactions. It will show through acne. If there's toxins that are spilled over into the blood, it will try to get out through the skin, that type of thing. So there's one aspect of digestive health and just whole body, whole system health that the skin is cleared up by clearing the liver channels and the blood. And then there's the aspect of the nervous system when you mentioned dry skin. So the nervous system is, we have 7 bodily tissues, and they go from the most gross to the most refined. So the 6th out of the 7 bodily tissues that are the most refined is the nervous system, is the nervous tissue. And then tissue number 7 is the reproductive tissue, which is the nervous system, even more sensitive, your reproductive organs. So when we look at, the nervous system and all the nerve endings on your skin, well, this is where sensory information comes in. And this is where the nervous system is constantly interpreting and interfacing between your being and the environment. So there's a couple things when there's dry skin. Your nervous system is also connected to your colon. Now, I said before that your mind is very connected to the colon. It's connected to the colon through the nervous system. So all 3 of those are really, really connected to the colon. So sometimes if there's dry skin, there's dryness in the colon. One of the things that Ayurveda uses is making sure that you have enough healthy oils in your diet, for example, so that the whole GI tract is lubricated. Oils can go in through the food, through hydration, making sure you're drinking enough hot and warm water throughout the day helps the body absorb hydration better. And then also oils and nutrients can be put in through enema, which in Ayurveda is called basti. And there are so many different types of bastis, but these are all medicated bastis that are essentially different forms of herbal teas. Then some of them are different types of herbal teas depending on the person's body type, dosha, what they have going on in their health, different type of herbal tea. And it doesn't dry out the colon when you use these certain kinds of teas, where regular enemas and colonics can really dry out the skin and the colon even more. So that's why basti is, unique in its own way. And then some of these bastis have oil put into them. And so if there's a chronic dryness of the skin, an oil basti can clear it up right away, because it's injecting the oils right into the colon, which directly impacts the skin. And then there's another practice in Ayurveda called Abhyanga, which is a self-oil massage, where you actually each day put all the oil on your skin, let it in a warm room, like you can put a little heater in your bathroom, put lots of oils on your skin, and so that your body can absorb it. And then you go in maybe for like 10 to 20 or more minutes, even if it's just 5 minutes, it's getting on your skin. And then you go in the hot shower, and you rinse the excess off so it doesn't get all over your clothes. and then you go get dressed for the day. Or you can do your bathing before bed and, just put your pajamas on if you don't care getting a little oil on your PJs. But this practice over time, especially like each day, really helps connect. It helps soothe the nervous system and the dry skin. So those are all the different, there's more, but those are the main ways that we would look at dry skin from an Ayurvedic perspective.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And what really stood out to me was actually drinking warm water, like warm liquids throughout the day. Like I drink like hot, I don't drink coffee anymore, but I drink like hot cacao actually in the morning. But other than that, I don't drink any sort of warm anything throughout the day ever. It's all cold, like really cold water.
Cold with ice?
No, not with ice. Just like cold, like in a hydro flask, and it keeps it really cold. So.
Okay. But still pretty cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing something like, especially if you have dry skin, sipping hot water. And this is one of the things that I teach about in the Enlightened Belly Gut Reset too.
Yeah.
So, this is like one of the first steps in terms of keeping the lymph flowing well, keeping the channels flowing, and improving your hydration is actually sipping little sips of super, super hot water. So actually having another hydro flask or like a thermos that you can pour little sips and like sipping on that every half hour or hour throughout the whole day. And some people will notice that they feel even thirstier at the end of the day. And that's actually like showing you that cellularly your body is really thirsty.
Okay. Well, does it mean it's absorbing more?
Well, it will absorb more when it's not cold. Because even think about, the heat dilates the channels. When you have a sticky dish or pot in the sink, like you need to put hot water in it in order to get it out, right? It kind of rehydrates the cells. So when you sip some hot water throughout the day, you'll probably even absorb the cool water. And Ayurveda says drink room temperature, no cooler than room temperature water throughout the day, just so you're not depleting your digestive fire and your digestive enzymes.
This is so interesting. Ayurveda has been calling to me for so long. And like I said, I've been meeting more and more Ayurvedic practitioners and counselors. And I just like, the more you talk about it, I'm like, I should really start studying this, which brings me to what you're working on right now, right? You have some things that you're working on. Do you want to share that with everyone?
Yeah, totally. So I've kind of mentioned both of them. So I'll just share quickly. The Enlightened Belly 21-day Gut Reset is a 21-day program that you learn all of the modules in the right order for exactly what to do to get food freedom, we go into some of the emotional aspects of eating and how to release, do some of the inner shadow work and things like that. But essentially you get the daily step-by-step, exactly what to do, how to reset for your unique gut type. And it's a very empowering program. And I can also give you a code if you want for your viewers to get 50% off that course. So we can set that up. And then the other program that I run is called the Enlightened Body System. And this is a longer program. This is a 90-day program that goes through the full gamut of emotional healing, emotional release, and how to really take the power back to reverse illness or to just live your most thriving existence. So the Enlightened Body System goes deeper into the inner mastery, the aspects of the mind and the subconscious, as well as the outer mastery, what to do day to day, how to set up, your systems of health. And that's all unique to your unique body type. So those are the two programs that I love that we have access for, depending wherever someone's wanting to dive in or get started.
Awesome. And where can they find those programs?
So AliciaLynnDiaz.com is my main website. And to learn about the gut reset, just click gut reset on my website, AliciaLynnDiaz.com. And then to learn more about the Enlightened Body System, click work with me.
Awesome. We'll put those links in the show notes. And awesome. Well, let me see. Time is flying by. But so I feel called to ask you, what's something that you feel we talked about a lot, but what's something that you personally feel really passionate about sharing, or feel like it would be amazing for the Positive Head listeners to know as they continue on their own journeys?
Mm. Prioritize your inner peace as often as possible. Your access to your peace, like the true state of peace, is your power. And I think that that's one thing that often gets overlooked. And in health, and prioritizing your peace, your inner peace, doesn't mean ignoring what you're feeling. It means allowing whatever you're authentically feeling in each moment to flower and bloom, to actually come into full bloom. And then it will inevitably, those petals will fall, just like the cycle of everything in life. It's only when we avoid the things that they can control us. So whatever you're not looking at will control you. But the path of peace is the path of surrendering to all of that, not overindulging them, because then they can control you too, but just being peaceful enough that you are willing to accept yourself in each moment exactly as you are. And then the path just keeps unfolding before you.
It's beautiful advice. And it's so interesting. It's like the biggest challenge for us as humans, right? Is to just accept where we are, just accept, just accept the problem, like just accept that we feel a certain way, or that we feel challenged, or that we don't feel good. It's like we struggle so hard against not feeling good. And I see this time and time again in like my private sessions with EFT clients.
Yeah.
The power of just accepting that, just accepting how we're actually feeling can really, really bring down the emotional charge on things and really help you move through things. So I think that's amazing advice.
Absolutely.
Amazing advice. And yeah, go.
Give a second one.
A second one? Yeah. Oh, yeah, bring it.
It's just prioritizing your joy, like what brings you most alive. Yeah. And the mind is the trickiest, slipperiest, sneaky thing. It will try to convince you that you can't have that, and why you can't have that, and why it's got to be so hard. But the ego, the fear-based mind, is like a serpent eating its own tail. And it will keep feeding you problems that you need to look for solutions for that are unsolvable. And that's the game that it plays. So when I say prioritizing your peace, is that you're actually choosing not to play that game, not to indulge in that game. And that game is actually the only thing in the way of you and you living your most inspired existence, the thing that brings you the most joy. And you just saying yes to that, even if you have no idea how it's going to work out, you just saying yes to that and being like, universe, I say yes to that. It just, everything starts conspiring, because you wouldn't have been given the heart desire to follow a path if it wasn't yours. Every single human is given a different inspiration, a different path, a different thing that brings them alive and excited. And it's uniquely yours, and it's yours because you are an extension of the whole. Yeah. And so prioritize that joy, prioritize the thing that brings you most alive. And that truly is the North Star of the Enlightened Body System, of health, of how to align your cells with the lead of exam. Like, it is whatever that thing, that North Star, that guiding light that guides you home is your joy. And I think, when it comes to health, we often lose sight of that, because obviously there's pain, there's fear, and then it feeds more of that serpent. And so, yes, I still say yes to that. And I see this as the obstacle is part of the way through to that, but it is not the thing that's going to take me down, because it will only take me down if I choose that.
Yeah. That resonates so deeply for me personally. And I just signed up I just did my first improv class on Sunday. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, because it like scared me, but I knew I wanted to do it. And I knew that's why it scared me, because I was just like, well, you just really want to do it. And you're just like afraid of putting yourself out there and like following the joy. Like, cause I would make so many excuses. I'd be like, I do have so many things going on. We all do. But I would play into the game of like, well, I got to solve all these things. I got to do all these things. I don't have time for that. And then finally, I don't know what it was. I was talking to someone and they brought it up, or somehow it came up. And I heard myself say again, like, yeah, I'm going to do that one day. And then I just heard myself be like, no, like, when are you going to do it? Like, when? Like, like you're saying, like, you have to prioritize it. Like, you have to. So I just did it, and I went to the class, and I had like the best time ever. And then the other day I just decided to sign up for it for the whole summer, to just do it, you know? And it's again, part of that self-care I was talking about buying the nice jeans and like investing in myself. And I think what you're saying in a way is like, invest in yourself. And like you're saying, the things that bring you joy, and not saying that you're not still going to be, you're not saying just forget all your problems. I mean, everyone has challenges and things that they're working through, and that's actually part of the fun of life. But if you see it as this is life, then there is no fun in life. It's just you constantly, like you're saying, like, solving one problem, and then another pops up. And then if that's your goal in life, then those are the people, I mean, and I fall into it too, who get so frustrated and are like, when am I going to win? And it's like, you're never going to win in that way, because there's always going to be a new thing that pops up. But when you're prioritizing your joy, like you're talking about, then those things that pop up, they just feel like fun challenges. It's like, oh, okay, how am I going to navigate around this one? Because you have the joy. You're not trying to get the joy from solving the problem.
Yes. So spot on. You're worth it. I love that you just brought up the improv class. Yeah, like you did that. There's that next level of deserving and enthusiasm and trust. Mm-hmm. And I have the same one, Alexa, with singing. Like I've gone through in the last just maybe 4 or 5 years, like starting to explore my voice, and I feel them so alive. And I feel so alive when I teach, but I also feel so alive when I sing. And I know that's a big part of it. And so I've been like, really, really open and singing a lot. And then it's just, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And so I've been, really back and forth, as that's really up for me right now too. And like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't even, all of the things that the mind says, but I know it's true. And so leaning into that more and more. Yeah.
And that kind of plays into what you were talking about before about like, I don't think you called it this, but I call it like our upper limits, right? It's like,
absolutely.
It's like, hold on, you're getting a little too happy. Like you're feeling a little too good. You're enjoying this a little too much. Don't you think you should come back down? Like that's, what we say to ourselves. Right. And I noticed that too. I was telling one of my coaches the other day, I was like, I'm noticing that like right when I get to the good part, I'm kind of like, I start procrastinating. I start putting in all those old patterns, and it makes sense. Like it makes total sense. It's fear of, well, I don't know what's past there. I don't know. This is familiar. This is at least familiar, even if it's not where I want to be. At least I know what it is, So
totally.
And I think what you're saying is in accepting where you are and trusting that it will find, like taking one step at a time, knowing that you are going to be led there and not freaking out over it, is going to guide you there gently. The momentum will pick up more and more, and just being, and like you said, just being open to it and just stating like, I'm open to this, it will find a way. So
yes, I say yes. We are all pioneers of evolution.
I say yes. I love that.
I say yes to
that. Yes. Well, Alicia, this was super awesome. I guess I'll just ask you our last question, which we ask everyone because we like stories. Do you have any fun, inspiring stories of synchronicity or manifestation that you feel called to share?
Oh my gosh. I think so many.
Right.
I think the thread that's most alive in our conversation was kind of circling back to my story in the beginning. I said, "Oh, I had this amazing opportunity to go study in India, right, with this world-renowned master." And like, so there were two stories in that thread. This was also like the Alicia saying yes, having no idea what it looks like, being way outside of the comfort zone, pioneering uncharted territory. I had like left my job. I had only so much money to last me. I didn't know where I was going to live. I was just like, just riding on the waves of excitement and trust. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about my dream a lot. And this is the one thing that I think kind of ties into what we were just talking about is I was bold enough or naive enough at the time to tell everyone my dream of like, this is what I'm going after. I have no idea how it's going to happen. And I was talking to most people. I was like, didn't even know what Ayurveda was. Like, we're like, what's that word? And I was like, I'm going to be an Ayurvedic doctor. I thought I was going to be an Ayurvedic doctor at the time, but the dream, always changes and evolves as you go. So I became a practitioner. But anyway, I was telling everyone like, this is my dream. This is my dream. This is my dream. And because I did that, and because I was just so trusting and following my joy, I got connected with someone who connected me with someone who connected me with someone. And I ended up meeting very synchronistically in a cafe in San Diego. And I moved there. Someone that I had met at a Tony Robbins event invited and connected me with this other friend of his who had just started working with this doctor in India, doing some film work for him to help him market, because he was just this amazing, best kept secret of the world. And he's like, I'm going to share your message. So we met on this beautiful synchronistic sunny day in San Diego. And he told him about me, because I was like telling him all about my dream, and he told him about me. And basically he was like, oh, tell her to come. And he did not take on, he's had the same doctor's apprentice under him for the last 12 to 25 years at that point. This is a number of years ago. But he doesn't have a school. He doesn't accept, I was only a self-studied Ayurveda learner at that point. Like I hadn't formally studied it. So I don't know why he accepted me, but like we connected on a deep soul level. And my friend Clint was like, you need to come to India. And I was like, oh, he said I can come? What do you mean? He's like, oh yeah, he wants you to apprentice under him in his clinic. I was like, I don't even know what that looks like. I don't have the money to pay for a plane ticket to go to India. And I was just rattling off all these excuses why I couldn't go. And I was like, hello, this is your dream, Alicia. Yes. So bless his heart. He's still one of the most impacted people who have impacted my path the most. He gifted me his flyer miles so I could go.
Wow.
And that's what I'm saying. Like when you say yes and like your soul is a yes, like the universe just shows up. He was just like, I know that you need to be there. So here's, he gifted me his flyer miles. Wow. So I go to India and I had this completely life-changing experience. And I still can't believe. Actually, Clint is in the process of writing a book, and he just sent me the draft of his book that he recounts the whole story of us going to India for the first time. And I was, oh my God. And I'm reading the book, reading the chapter. He's like, I put you in the book. I just want to see what you think about that. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm reading this book, and this is just last week. I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh my God, this really did happen. Like whatever part of me, even though it was my actual life story, like there was still a part of me that didn't even believe that it happened. And that's part of what our mind does too. It distorts it. So I share that because this is a recent re-revelation for me of when you say yes, and how like the universe conspires to align with your highest soul and heart desires. And you never know. You might just actually get what you are praying for. Like when you say yes. If you don't say yes, then it's like you'll never get the answer to the question that you never ask, so to speak.
I love that story so much because first of all, it reminds me of like Eat, Pray, Love, which is like one of my favorite books and like story just of like, such an amazing adventure. But also just because like I love what you're talking about you have a dream and like you just talked about it to everyone, just like you put it out there to everyone. Like, and I'm in the process of building like several things, and one of the things I'm working with a team of women who, it's like almost a fear of talking about their dream, almost a fear about talking about what they're doing with other people, fear that they'll not perceive it correctly or that they'll not get it. And, and I'm just becoming so aware of how important that is to be able to like speak the dream out loud, to speak it and share it with people because, like you're saying, first of all, we're all so we're all so connected. It's crazy. I mean, I sometimes think like if we could just look at an aerial view, our minds would explode of like all the connections. I mean, sometimes we can like see that now with like Facebook, usually like, oh my God, that person knows that person. What, how? But just, you never know like who's just passing on. Someone's just a messenger of like your dream, a messenger of your dream, someone casually, and they intersect at the exact right time with someone who is the answer to that. Right. And so I think it's so powerful. And I think that all of us should feel, more confident in ourselves and more confident in our dream, because if we have a dream, we were given that dream by spirit. Like we didn't just create that. Like it was given to us. I keep getting this feeling recently where it's like I'm starting to see myself with something above me coming into me through this body. Whereas normally I think of myself as so super earthly, but I keep kind of getting this image of like, no, you are this being, Alexa, but there's a spirit that wants to come through you. And what does that spirit want to express as Alexa today? And so your dream is coming from that spirit, and that spirit is your higher knowing and is your, your higher self, right? In some capacity. So it's like, if you have a dream, it's not stupid. It's not silly, no matter what it is. It's your dream, and you need to embrace that. And I'm speaking for myself as well. So, so I think that story was amazing to end on. And Alicia, thank you so much for coming on. This has been incredible. I could talk to you probably for days and weeks and years. I don't know.
I know. I'm so glad that we're ending on this note of dreams because, everything you just said, I just so deeply resonate with. And I feel the energy between us in this conversation. And I just hope that everyone listening to this can just feel that reignited or even brighter inside of themselves, that dream illuminated from within.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and telling all these stories. And everybody check out Alicia. We'll put the links in the show notes. And until next time, bye. That's it for this week's episode. If you're a listener with a story to share and are interested in being featured on a future episode of this special series, you can email me at alexa@positivehead.com. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear Brandon constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place we know of to do it. Period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Otherwise, tune in next Friday for another HeAd Posse episode. And until then, as Brandon always says, journey well.